Entrepreneurship is the backbone of this country, and yet people fail in business all day long. According to Fundera, in the first decade, 70% of all businesses will fail, and it's because they're missing some of the most fundamental training and aspects of how to succeed. My name is Kris Krohn. I've been in business for the last 15 years, and you know what? I've lost millions of dollars, but I've also made a lot more than that. And today, for 2020, I'm gonna share the top 3 things most important for every business to have. Most don't. In fact, just by watching this video, some of you should decide to close shop, and some of you are gonna hunt somewhere else so you can have the level of success that you deserve. If a business doesn't have at least a 50% margin, I usually don't look at it. If you don't have that, then who cares about your business? Ultimately, businesses are going to succeed or fail based on their understanding of 3 fundamental principles: margin, leads, and difficulty. And today in this video, I want to dive deep into them because you may have a business that is destined to be broken and you don't know it, because a broken business ultimately leads to you being broke financially. We're going to actually evaluate this theme park, Harry Potter World. We're going to talk about how it's doing in these 3 categories. And at the end of this video, as a bonus, I'm actually going to share with you my favorite business model that I've used to make more money than anything else and how you can copycat it. All right, let's talk about these 3 components of a successful business. The first one is margin. Okay, so your typical average business operates on a 10% margin. And a good business might have a 20% margin, and a poor business might have a 5% margin. Now, one of my rules is if a business doesn't have at least a 50% margin, I usually don't look at it. Why? Because if I have a lot more money, it means a lot of good things come into my world. One, I don't have to take a position with the company. There's enough money that I can actually focus on being an owner of business versus an operator that's getting tired working inside of the business. So if you take a look at Universal Studios here in Orlando, Florida, right now in 2018, after they launched Harry Potter World, they brought in revenues of $1.25 billion. They saw a 15% increase from just the year before. But more importantly, their profit was right around $500 million. Now, $500 million and $1.25 billion of revenue means that they're sitting at a 40% margin. That is 4 times more margin than the average business. So guess what? As far as that goes, they've got a fantastic business model. Number 2 is leads. A business that doesn't have a predictable set of qualified leads is always going to struggle. You know how many people I know, they're like, I've got the most amazing product. My product is so amazing. But bottom line, they don't have enough lead flow, which means prospects, people, customers, clients. If you don't have that, then who cares about your business? People make the mistake all the time of supporting businesses that have amazing products, but they have no way of marketing them. So take a look at where we're at again. They have movies coming out. In fact, they've got all these movies that drive people into the park, and as a result, they have really good margins, but only because they have lots of customers. Over 10 million visitors a year flock to Universal Studios Orlando, and you know what? Harry Potter has only increased that number. So guess what? They've got leads, and that's why they have margin, and that's why it works. The third thing that you need for your business to thrive, best advice that I can give you, is you have to evaluate the difficulty of business. One of my mentors, Tony Robbins, says that the enemy of execution is complexity. So bottom line is, when something becomes harder, then the more difficult it is. There's opportunity for errors and for things to break down. And you know what? When you actually look at Universal Studios, it is a crazy, complicated business. That doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's not worth it. They're clearing $500 million a year in this park alone. But for you and your business, one of the things that you need to ask yourself is, how difficult is my business? Because the more difficult it is, the harder it is to duplicate, the harder it is to actually grow, or the harder it may be to actually systematize. Doesn't mean it's not worth it, but it does mean that you might have a problem. Now, as you evaluate your business and take a look at these 3 aspects, ask yourself, number 1, do you have a normal margin, a low margin, a high margin, or an extraordinary margin? If your margin is normal, like 10%, then I think that you have a problem. Look at how successful you have to be to get that business to produce something. And you might spend years building it. But what if you started right now with a business that had like a 30, 40, 50, or a 60% margin? If it existed and if it was out there, you'd have to work way less hard to make way more money. The second thing that would happen is that you'd find yourself being more of a business owner versus an operator. Because when you have a 10% margin, the problem is that you actually need to insert yourself in the business and work the business to actually justify the little bit of money that you actually make. The second thing I would evaluate is leads. If you don't have a dependable, consistent flow of leads in your business, you might be in the wrong business because you're gonna spend all of your time hustling, diluted by the fact that you think your product's so great, but you don't know how to put it in people's hands. And thirdly, difficulty. If your business is super difficult and super complicated, you might be able to pick a different idea this year and zoom around a decade of results in your old business. Sometimes we find ourselves comparing ourselves to some of the biggest names in business, some of the most successful, iconic people. J.K. Rowling has the most amazing story. Think about it for just a moment. I mean, this woman submitted her manuscript of Harry Potter to 12 publishing houses. All of them rejected her, and finally one of them went with it. And then in like a 20-year span, created a 25 billion net result of that franchise. But you know what? Not all of us are gonna be in what I call the lucky sperm club. Not all of us are going to be the people out there crushing it with like these mega businesses, but that doesn't mean that there's not a piece of the pie with your name on it where you can absolutely kill it. This is what I've learned in all my years of business. If your business has low margins, you're in trouble. If your business doesn't have a good lead source, you have problems. And more importantly, if your business is difficult, you have more problems. How many of those problems do you currently have in business? What I want to do right now is I want to share with you a perfect business. And this is just an example. In the link below is an example of one of my businesses that doesn't just meet the 3 rules I've shared with you, it meets 5 rules. And you can watch a video in the link below and I will show you what all 5 of those rules are for business. But I found a business that ultimately has on average a 50% margin. And 50% means I don't have to work the business. I can hire someone to work it for me. Number 2, it has an abundance of leads. I can pretty much order as many leads as I want, and then I can make a lot more money, and I can pretty much print money according to how hard I want my team working. But number 3, it's a simple business. In less than a week, everyone is trained on exactly what to do. And trust me, take it from someone who's lost millions in business. There are hard ways and there are easy ways. And sometimes we're on the wrong path because we're spending all of this time barking up the wrong tree. Right now, if you want to see what a perfect business looks like that meets these 3 rules and some of my bonus rules, click the link below, watch that video. And what I hope that it will do is inspire you to get wiser about the business that you're in. Should you be in it, or should you hop over to something different? Or is it time to expand into something different so you have a more realistic shot of being successful? Because hey, $500 million, they're not messing around, and you shouldn't either. All right, my boys are giving me this Birdie Bot's every flavored bean. Boogers, I'm sure. I think it's boogers. Let me see if some pumpkin juice can wash it down. Nope, it's way too potent. Butterbeer. Yeah, it's just rotten, it's nasty. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today. Make sure that you subscribe, like the video if you did like it, share it with somebody. Bottom line, this is your year. This is the start of the decade. It's 2020. How do you crush it this year? How do you crush it for the next decade? And don't forget, below, I'm sharing my 5 secrets on how to kill it in business with the best business advice. So check out the video, check out the business, learn and grow. All right.
No, it's not earwax.
Earwax. Oh, you kids are poisoning me. It's rude to spit.